Now, in the US, the conservative faithful, the hardcore Republicans, they've gathered at CPAC, or the Conservative Political Action Conference, and they've rallied around among themselves and also against the Democrat White House, of course. Former President Donald Trump was there, and he was able to dominate media from the event, largely because other leading Republicans didn't turn up, which is where I started in this week's chat with US commentator Kristin Tate.
CPAC is usually a really big deal, but CPAC seemed to be more sparsely populated this year than in previous years. You know, I'm pretty entrenched in the right of center political world, and I didn't hear so much chatter about CPAC this year other than Trump's speech, which of course got a lot of attention. But usually this is such a big deal in my circles. And I suspect the reason, as you mentioned, is not because of who spoke at CPAC, but who wasn't there. There were so many big names that didn't attend, like Ron DeSantis, Kristi Noem, Glenn Youngkin, Tim Scott, Mitch McConnell. Of course, Trump gave his big speech, and in many ways, he's still the king of the GOP, Chris. The big line that got everybody's attention is when he told the crowd, "I will be your retribution." That is what the media is reporting on like crazy. And hey, I mean, that's a great message for Trump's base. It really fires them up. But talking about retribution for 2020, you know, I just keep thinking, Chris, I don't know if this is the direction that is going to actually expand Trump's voting base. But he had some great moments in the speech. Other than that, that's just what the media is laser focused on.
Yeah, it's not the most pleasant thought, is it, voting for retribution? But you make a good point there because of that. But he also focused a bit on Hunter Biden, and boy, he can still be spellbinding the way he tells a tale like this. Have a look.
Will there ever be a time when Joe Biden says, "This thing with Hunter just isn't working out well"? I'm starting to get a little angry at Hunter. Or when Hunter comes to him and says, Dad, we have a problem." What? What is it, son? Another one? Oh, son, you're a disaster, son. Son, you're a disaster. Dad, we have a problem. I left my laptop at the repair shop. And Joe looks at him and says, "What's on it, son? What's on it?" And Hunter looks back and he says, "Every single crime that you've ever committed, Dad."
Hilarious stuff, Kristin. But is this Hunter Biden stuff starting to bite? Is Joe Biden paying any political price for it yet?
Not really. I mean, this is kind of like top shelf Trump for Trump supporters. This is the kind of red meat that he can throw out to his base to mobilize them. Obviously, all Trump supporters are infuriated about the Hunter Biden scandal and the way that the media has treated and basically ignored this scandal. But look, if Trump wants to win primaries and actually win an election, and that means winning states that should be Republican, like New Hampshire, Arizona, and Georgia, his pitch needs to be something very simple, which is things were better when I was president. Vote for me, make me president again, and things will go back to the way they were. And that's a pretty good pitch. I mean, things are pretty bad under Joe Biden. The southern border is wide open. He has gotten us into unthinkable debt, and it's caused insane inflation that is affecting all Americans. And he has really polarized our country with these woke issues like radical gender ideology that's being infused into our children's schools. That has got to be Trump's pitch. But hey, you know what? At an event like CPAC, maybe he was trying to just mobilize his base, and he did a good job of that.
Yeah, and another issue he focused on was standing up to China, including over the COVID-19 pandemic. Have a look at this.
"I will hold China financially accountable for unleashing the China virus upon the world. And I will again withdraw from the WHO, which stands for We Hide Outbreaks. We hide outbreaks."
Again, lots of applause there, Kristin, and I applaud the sentiment as well, really. But it's looking backwards, isn't it? That's not really a forward agenda.
A little bit, yeah. It's looking backwards. I still like that content, and that's the kind of policy-focused rhetoric that I think will serve Trump well. But what really is great Trump. Trump at his best is when he is with working class people and he's talking about solutions and he connects with them. What we saw with Trump in East Palestine, Ohio a few weeks ago, that was phenomenal. I mean, he connects with the people in a way that these other politicians just don't. And that's why Trump is now actually leading Ron DeSantis again in a lot of these polls. Last month, we saw DeSantis kind of start beating Trump in many of the polls, but I just before we went on air saw a YouGov poll that has Trump leading DeSantis. It's 47-39. So he's flipped it. And that's all because of that one visit in Ohio, I think.
Yeah, we will see. That's going to be a hell of a clash between those two. Very, very similar worldviews, but different styles.